Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Well, good evening, actually. Welcome back to my channel. And I just finished seeing It's a Wonderful Life in the theaters. I've only seen this movie once before, I think. I mean, once or twice. The first time was parts of it. The second time was like the whole way through. And so this makes it the third time. And well, it was especially special because I got to see it in theaters. So it's funny because I think I originally saw the advertisement for this at my theater while I was going to see Violent Night earlier this month, and I thought like, oh well, this is a great movie to watch with the family. So I was able to get a few people to go with me, namely my mom because she loves the film, and one of my siblings, and we went to go see it, and the whole way through, I just loved the film. Like, I can see why it's one of my mom's favorites because like it became one of my favorite movies of all time because I think it's one of the greatest. Um, I mean, everybody knows the story at this point. Like, an angel is sent down from heaven to go talk with George Bailey about like seeing about seeing how great his life is because basically the whole main conflict is that he has to secure this money to pay off the bank, but he doesn't have it, and one thing leads to another, and he feels like his life is in shambles on Christmas Eve, no less. So he wishes that he was never born. And like, well, the story goes off from there, and the weird thing is like I've already seen this storyline happen before, like not with It's a Wonderful Life. Like I originally saw it with like the Flashpoint Paradox and like Shrek Forever After, if I remember that one correctly. But um, but I mean like well they all originated from this story. Um, I mean like everybody is great in the cast. Like George Bailey is fantastic as like a guy who like tries to help everybody out no matter what, and like his life slowly unravels over basically the course of a single day, where his life just basically implodes just from like just a single bad day. And maybe this is because like I like comic books, but it kind of made me think of like the Joker's quote of like one bad day, and like that was basically George Bailey's bad day, where somehow his uncle lost the money for the bank loan, um, and like because of that, his life just spirals to where like he basically gets mad at like um where he just gets mad at like his wife, his children, and like just the smallest of things, right? His wife is a great was great. The kids, their acting kind of reminded me of like Jem and Scout from To Kill a Mockingbird that I saw earlier this year, which is fine. I thought I thought that they actually acted like kids. The guy who you could call like the main antagonist in the movie, like Mr. Potter, like he's not really an outright villain. He's just a dick. Which I mean, which is still great. Um, like everyone else in the supporting cast, like the taxi driver. I think the taxi driver was Ernie, and the cop was named Bert, which is funny because like I never realized until tonight that the characters Ernie and Bert from Sesame Street were named after those guys, or at least that's what I heard. But everyone from like Mr. Gower to Martini to Nick to like I believe that one girl was named Violet, and like everybody like the, their acting was great. The characters were awesome. Like they really fully fleshed out the character of George Bailey by like they didn't really start his story on like Christmas Eve where like where he loses the bank loan and like his whole life just explodes in the matter of like hours. They basically take him through like his younger years where he saves his brother from drowning, and like him continuing the family business because he has to, and like basically having to call off his and his wife's honeymoon, like just to help the people out in his town. And that really kind of showed like what kind of character he really was, and like they just built it up into basically just tearing him down, which does kind of segue into one thing that I never really understood about this movie, that like that people call it a Christmas film, and like this is probably, I'm probably on an island on this, but I just don't see it as a Christmas movie. And that's mainly because like the whole stuff about Christmas, it doesn't really happen until like the ending. Like the first hour and a half, I think, are basically just detailing George Bailey's life, and the whole thing about it being on Christmas Eve doesn't really happen until about like an hour and 45 minutes in, or at least that's what I think it was. I don't know. I wasn't keeping that big of a track of the story, but uh, sorry. But the thing about that was like, I mean, like I said, the whole thing about I mean, yeah, the movie takes place on Christmas Eve, but like that's not the driving force of it. The whole like driving force of the film is the fact that like George's uncle loses the money, and basically it drives George to be forced to like basically grovel at Mr. Potter's feet, like to help him out. And one thing leads to another, and he eventually like tries to commit suicide until the angel Clarence comes and grabs him. Which, by the way, Clarence, the guy who played Clarence, was also fantastic. Uh, he was the funniest character in the movie. But that's my point, that like the whole thing about it taking place on Christmas starts so late in the film. Like I just can't call it a Christmas movie. Like, and again, I'm gonna be on an island for saying this, but like I honestly believe that Die Hard is more of a Christmas movie than It's a Wonderful Life, because like one of the whole driving factors in like what the terrorists were doing, what John McClane was doing, like kind of centered around the fact that like it was Christmas time, right? He goes to I believe it's called like Nakatomi Tower. Like he goes there to celebrate at his wife's Christmas party. The terrorists go there because they know that security will be light because it's Christmas. Uh, like after John McClane kills this one guy, he even like dresses him up in like Santa hat and like pours this foam or whatever like as snow. So yeah, that one's absolutely a Christmas movie, but I just don't see it here because like because George Bailey isn't even like, he only starts screaming Merry Christmas during the final like 5 or 10 minutes, right? I don't know, but maybe that's just me. Um, I mean that's the only thing I really have against the film entirely. Well, that and the fact that like, and this is probably just a nitpick at this point, um, but I don't exactly like some of the camera shots that they use, where like it'll show the shot like as a wide shot, and then it'll just cut to a close up and it's basically the same shot, just like closer, and they don't do like any cuts to like just one person or the other. They literally just have like George and say his wife talking, and like you can see the screen is about that big, and then it does a close up of like them talking again like that, and like you can almost see the jump cut in it, and I just felt that whole thing was weird, but maybe that's just me. But all that aside, like it's still a fantastic movie. I still don't think it's a Christmas movie, like even though it takes place on Christmas Eve. Well, the like the final like 45 minutes of it takes place on Christmas Eve, which, speaking of, like I don't know if this was how it was originally sold like back in 1946, but I was originally sold that like that the whole movie's main story is about like George wishing he was never born, and the angel Clarence basically makes it happen to show him how good his life was. And that doesn't really happen until, like, again, like the last half hour or so. And I don't know, I just feel like that thing will have come off as like false advertising. At least to me, it would if that thing didn't. If like if a movie like that came out like today, where that's the selling point, that like, oh well, imagine a world where like you were never born and something. That's what happens in this movie, and then you go see the movie and it only happens in the final 30 minutes. I mean, I'd still like the movie, but I'd be disappointed as well, because that's not what they sold me on. Like, we get over an hour and a half of like George Bailey's life, and then like the final pieces of the film are like what the film was like actually about. At least that's how I see it. And I don't know. All that aside, though, like it's still a fantastic film. Like, definitely go see it. Those are just nitpicks in my opinion, although I still don't think that it's a Christmas movie, because by that logic, then Die Hard definitely is, and so is like Batman Returns, Iron Man 3, and like all these other movies that take place during Christmas time. I don't know, but that's it for me, guys. Definitely have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you guys for the next review.